Good morning and welcome to Take Your Life Back Today show with me, Ralf Friedrichs. I want to give a shout out to a good friend of mine. His name is Larry Geis from the Geis Academy. You can reach him at 516-485-2741. He is an addiction recovery coach, a life coach. He will help you from your recovery to your, from your addiction to your recovery. Give him a call at 516-485-2741 or go on any Google or Yahoo or Dogpile and go to www.odysseyconsultant.org. That's www.odysseyconsultant.org. Let Larry Geis from the Geis Academy help you take your life back. And when you talk to him, let him know that you heard about him on the Take Your Life Back Today show with me, Ralf Friedrichs. GlobalEyeglasses.com. They are focused on saving you money, and I am focused on helping you. I've helped 162 162 customers that had called me or texted me and said, listen, Ralph, you have so many frames. How can you help me pick the right frame? Well, listen, Ralph, I saw progressives compared to line bifocals. What's the difference? I saw transitions compared to photochromatics. What's the difference? With over 30 years in the optometry business and with a great company like GlobalEyeglasses.com, I can help you pick the right pair of glasses that you might need. But you need to get in touch with me and text me at 631-599-0218 or call me at 844-405-HELP, and I will help you focus on saving money through GlobalEyeglasses.com. Today's topic is 10 myths about drug and alcohol treatment. For alcoholics, drug addicts, and their families, treatment and rehabilitations offer the hope of redemption and healing. But substance abusers and the people who love them are often unsure what exactly to expect from treatment, and their tentative sense of optimism is often tempered by uncertainty and doubt. Complicating things further, misconceptions about the rehabilitation process abound. Much of what people think they know about drug and alcohol treatment bears only a slight resemblance to the truth. Separating fact from fiction when the subject is substance abuse treatment is not always easy, but it is vitally important that people struggling with addiction or alcoholism enter the rehab with realistic expectations and at least some understanding of what the process of recovery from chemical dependency will entail. Therefore, in the spirit of setting the record straight, I came up with 10 myths about drug and alcohol treatment, each of which is widely believed despite its disconnection from the truth. Myth number 1, folks. Drug and alcohol rehabilitation can cure addiction. The truth: addiction is a chronic health condition that can be sent into remission. But this does not mean the addict or alcoholic can be cured. Chemical dependency is permanent, and no matter how well people respond to treatment or how long they stay clean and sober, addicts can never drink or use drugs again without serious consequences. This is why substance abusers who have been through rehabilitation and are no longer abusing intoxicants are said to be in recovery rather than recovered, signaling that the process is continuous and ongoing. And it is while you're in recovery, or I'm in recovery, it's people like Larry Geis from the Geis Academy, 516-485-2741. He can help you continuously and keep going with the process. Myth number 2. Substance abusers must hit rock bottom before they are ready to accept treatment. The truth: there is some categorical confusion going on here. It is true that addicts often seek treatment until they've hit rock bottom and their lives have become a complete mess, but that does not mean that drug abusers and alcoholics must bottom out before they are ready to seek help. In fact, studies show that the sooner the substance abuser gets into a treatment after developing an addiction, the better his or her chances will be in staying clean and sober for the duration. Persuading addicts to enter into treatment is not an easy at any stage of the disease, but sooner is always preferred than later. Myth number 3. Substance abusers must really want to be in rehab for the process to work. The truth: this sounds self-evident, but it is a myth. Drug and alcohol rehabilitation counselors are expert at breaking down the walls of denial thrown up by patients who are initially resistant to treatment, which is why recovery rates generally don't vary much between addicts who come in on their own and those who are doing it at the request of their family in response to a court order. People that walk in have a better result factor percentage than ordered people. Myth number four. Seeking help to overcome addiction or alcoholism is a sign of personal weakness. The truth, addiction is a disease that causes psychological changes in the brain, and people cannot hope to conquer it through the willpower alone. Smart, sustainable strategies are required to subdue the scourge of substance abuse, and only those who go at the process intelligently are likely to find lasting sobriety. Addiction specialists have a wealth of experience in the area, and those who eschew their assistance will be flying blind through an impenetrable fog. People with great experience like Larry Geis from the Geis Academy, people like myself. Myth number 5, when addicts really apply themselves, they can recover from chemical dependence in a relatively short period of time. The truth, there are no shortcuts to recovery from addiction. And those who suggest differently are simply regurgitating the willpower myth in another guise. Research has shown that those who stay in treatment for a full year, 60 to 90 days, in a licensed rehab facility, followed by extensive aftercare, are twice as likely to remain clean and sober than those who seek treatment for a shorter period of time. Myth number 6. When substance abusers who have been through treatment suffer a relapse, it will put them right back at square one. The truth, in reality, relapse is common during recovery. However, those who try to give up drugs and alcohol on their own will be much less prepared to handle such slip-ups than those who have been counseled by professionals who understand the trials and tribulations of the substance abuse treatment process. Knowledge always facilitates recovery from addiction, even if the recovery must recommence after relapse. Treatment provides substance abusers with tools from change that will stay with them forever, no matter how many setbacks they have endured. Myth number 7. If an addict or alcoholic agrees to go to rehab, it could end up costing him his job. The truth, 2 pieces of federal legislation, the Americans with Disabilities Act and the Family Medical Leave Act, guarantee the addicts that the alcoholics who undergo treatments for substance abuse will be given the time they need to do so by their employers, and that their jobs will be saved for them while they are away. Myth number 8. When other mental issues coexist with addiction, depression, anxiety, disorder, OCD, etc., they must be treated first, or they will interfere with the drug and alcohol rehabilitation process. The truth? Exactly the opposite is true. Addiction is a life-threatening condition, and every attempt should be made to help addicts and alcoholics overcome the disease before their other problems are dealt with. Although they will need to be dealt with eventually, in part because of the continued existence of other troubling disorders, will make it more difficult to sustain sobriety in the long run. Myth number 9. Treatment for drug and alcohol problems follows a strict regimen, so it really doesn't matter what rehabilitation center a substance abuser attends. The truth, a one-size-fits-all approach will not help very many addicts recover from their illness. Treatment should be customized to the individual, and before checking into any rehab facility, prospective patients and or their family members should talk to the staff administrators to make sure their specific needs are being met. There are many excellent treatment centers out there, but there are also some that are substandard, and no one should enter a rehab before doing research. Myth number 10. Drug and alcohol rehabilitation usually fails. The truth of the matter, relapse is common among addicts and alcoholics who go through treatment, and the shallow statistical analysis may make it seem as if rehab really doesn't work very well. But all this is really reveals is that successful rehabilitation from Drug and alcohol addiction frequently takes quite a bit of time. Relapse notwithstanding, if patients who enter the rehab are willing to stick with their aftercare programs, they are not afraid to return to treatment more than once should they run into trouble. They will have a solid chance of ultimately overcoming their chemical dependency. Addicts and alcoholics who try to get clean and sober on their own, on the other hand, are much less likely to succeed. Folks, these are 10 myths about drug and alcohol. For alcoholic drug addicts and their families, treatment and rehabilitation offer the hope, redemption, and healing. But substance abusers and their people who love them are often unsure of what exactly to expect. This is why I wanted to make sure we separated actual things to myths. Let's recap on the myths. Myth number one, I should say, drug and alcohol rehabilitation can cure addiction. The fact is, addiction is a chronic health condition that can be sent into remission, but it does not mean the addict can be cured. Chemical dependency is permanent. It's how you work in your recovery that makes it work for you. Myth number two, substance abusers must hit rock bottom before they are ready to accept treatment. Sure, it is a very well known fact that most of the people do not actually seek the proper treatment, are not actually ready to stop denying they have a problem until everything around them has crashed. Their whole life has come to an end pretty much. That's considered rock bottom. That's when most people make the decision. However, people can meet certain little criterias in life that are on the negative side and already start seeking treatment, because the sooner you seek treatment, the sooner you will learn to live in recovery. Myth number three, substance abusers must really want to be in rehab for the progress to work. The truth, this sounds self-evident, but it is a myth. Drug and alcohol rehabilitation counselors are experts in breaking down the walls of denial thrown up by patients. Number four, seeking help to overcome addiction to alcoholism is a sign of personal weakness. The truth, addiction is a disease that causes psychological changes in the brain, and people cannot hope to conquer it through willpower alone. Smart, sustainable strategies are required to subdue the scourge of substance abuse, and only those who go at the process intelligently are likely to find lasting sobriety. Myth number five, when addicts really apply themselves, they can recover from chemical dependency in a very short period of time. The truth, there are no shortcuts to recovery or addiction. People that go in for the longer stay have a better chance to learn to live with their recovery. The little 10-day programs, 30-day programs are a little help, but not the proper long-lasting help so desperately need. Myth number six, when substance abusers who have been through treatment suffer a relapse, it will put them right back at square one. The truth of the matter is, folks, in reality, relapse is a common during recovery. It happens to a lot of them. I had 6 relapses before I finally, a couple of years ago, said I have enough, and that wall of denial. Because here's what happens every time you say you want to quit, and you go for a week to 2, and then you have that urge, and then you give in to that temptation. That's considered a relapse. But the bottom line, the core of the matter is that you truly were never actually ready to quit drinking or doing drugs. What you might have been doing is seeking the end result of being sober, but you were not ready. When you become ready, when that wall of denial comes down, believe me, you'll know it. Myth number 7, if an addict or an alcoholic agrees to go to rehab, it should end up costing him his job. Untrue. There are 2 mandates, 2 legislations. The Americans with Disabilities Act and the Family Leave Act protect you. Guarantee that the addicts and the alcoholics who undergo treatment for substance abuse will be given the time they need to do so by their employers, and that their jobs will be saved for them while they are away. I think there are exclusions on time allowed, so please check into it. Myth number 8, when the other mental health issues coexist with addiction, such as anxiety disorder, depression, OCD, etc. They must be treated first, or they will interfere with the drug and alcohol. No, drug and alcohol addiction has to be treated immediately. As soon as you make the decision you want to be treated, or it needs to be treated, it needs to be done prior or in conjunction with anything else. There is no, let's put on the back burner until everything else is fixed. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Myth number 9. Treatment for drug and alcohol problems follows strict regimens, so it really doesn't matter what rehab center or substance abuse attend. Please do your research. Make sure that you, if you're the person or your family or your loved one, has a perfect match with the rehab center. Every rehab center is different for really every person. Some of the ones that have substandards that might not meet the criteria for your loved one or yourself. So please do your research. There are many, many out there that are great, but there are some, like I said, substandards one. Myth number 10, drug and alcohol rehab usually fails. The truth is, folks, relapse is common among addicts and alcoholics who go through the treatment, and a shallow statistical analysis may make it seem as rehab really doesn't work very well. But all this really reveals is successful rehabilitation from a drug or alcohol addiction frequently takes quite a bit of time. Relapse notwithstanding, if patients who enter rehab are willing to stick with their aftercare programs and are not afraid to return to treatment more than once, should they run into trouble, they will have a solid chance and ultimately overcoming their chemical dependency. Addicts and alcoholics who have or who try to get clean and sober on their own, on the other hand, are much less likely to fail, folks, or to succeed. People always ask me, I get tons of emails, I get people asking me question after question after question, but the most important or most frequent question is people say to me, Ralph, how is it that you have gone so far without any medical or sponsorship from the outside? And the answer is very simple, folks, and I'll go rewind real quick. I went to AA 3-4 times, and I found that AA is great to a limit. The problem is that AA, you meet for an hour and a half a day, and then what do you do after that? If you're weak on the inside, or if you don't have the motivation, what do you do then for the other 22.5 hours? Well, folks, I am telling you my method that I have found for myself by doing these shows, by working on my websites, that becoming an addiction recovery coach and a life coach, keep me on the ball of recovery, keep me on the track of recovery 24/7. As I'm sitting here doing this video for you folks, my audience, I have to educate myself on the 10 myths of drug and alcohol treatment. This is my education now. Mind you, this is printed up on my computer, which means I already had to come up with this information. Then I sat here and I read it to you. Then I have to produce this show, and then I have to do the commercials for it. So this keeps me going 24/7. It is your emails that keep me going 24/7. It is your phone calls to me that keep me going 24/7. In conjunction with all the little ingredients that I have, the websites, the shows, the emails, the phone calls, my Skype interviewing, my radio interviewing, all those ingredients go into my pot of recovery that keeps me going 24/7. And that, my friend, is exactly how my system works. It is continuously educating yourself 24/7 on drug and alcohol abuse. It is continually educating myself on life itself, on the positives of life compared to the negatives, on being a better role model compared to not leading by example, on being a better person with spirituality compared to being the old Ralph. That is how I keep going. So to answer your question is, you need to educate yourself and continuously live in sobriety 24/7, not just an hour and a half a night at an AA meeting. That, my friend, is how. If you start believing and thinking positive thoughts, positive things will happen in your life. Be a good role model. Lead by example if you don't want your children to drink, smoke, or use profanity, by God, don't you do that in front of them. Be the hero that your children see when they look through their eyes. Folks, all changes that I speak about in life only happen in very small steps, so don't expect to see changes immediately. But when you do see them, you will notice your skin color get better. You'll notice that your spirituality becomes stronger. You'll notice your relationships bind better together. You'll notice financially your wallet becomes thicker again. Folks, I hope to God each and every one in my audience has the best day of their life. But I really hope and I really pray that each and every one of you in my audience, no matter where you are, has a sober rest of your life. And may God bless you.